Welcome, learners, to another deep dive. Today, we're taking a truly unique journey. Instead of diving into the usual research papers or, news articles, we're immersing ourselves in a rich, fantastical narrative provided by one of you.
That's right.
It's a compelling story of betrayal, profound transformation, and the arduous yet ultimately empowering process of finding your true strength when everything you thought you knew about yourself and your world collapses around you.
What's truly fascinating here is the capacity of a compelling narrative, even a fictional one like the one before us today, to yield truly profound nuggets of knowledge. Our aim is to extract insights that extend far beyond mere plot points.
Right.
We're looking at the very essence of identity formation in the crucible of crisis, the reclamation of personal agency against overwhelming odds, and the power, the almost mystical power of rewriting your own story.
Yeah, that rewriting part feels key.
These themes, as we'll explore, resonate deeply with the human experience, transcending the fantastical setting.
Our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the incredible, visceral journey of a character named Laura. Our source material today comes from excerpts of a YouTube video transcript titled, "He Left Me to Die in the Snow, but I Shifted Before My Last Breath." It's a raw, intense, and deeply personal account, and we're going to explore it meticulously, chapter by chapter, peeling back the layers of meaning embedded within this captivating tale.
We'll treat this narrative as our primary source, detailing the pivotal events, delving into character motivations, and tracing the unfolding prophecy as it's presented to Laura and, well, by extension to us.
Right.
Our overarching goal is to provide you with a comprehensive, nuanced understanding of Laura's entire experience, from her devastating betrayal and abandonment to her powerful, fated awakening. We'll examine what it truly means to reclaim one's own narrative, not just in a world of mythical wolves and ancient curses, but, in the everyday challenges we all face. So let's begin to truly dig into this.
Okay, let's kick things off. Our story opens with an immediate, visceral sense of betrayal that just hits you right in the gut.
Absolutely, no preamble.
Lyra describes being marked by Kieran, a ritual intended to signify possession, only to be abandoned by him moments later. She's left bleeding beneath a snow-heavy moon, the cold seeping into her bones.
And it's not just physical cold, is it? She says it slips inside your bones like regret.
Exactly. That line.
Wow.
It whispers this chilling message: you were never meant to survive this. Her fingers claw the snow, a desperate, futile attempt to cling to a world that has already turned its back on her.
And Kieran's actions, just walking away.
Stark indifference. He just walks away, not even a glance, his back broad, steady, as if what he'd done meant absolutely nothing. It paints such a powerful, painful picture of abandonment.
What's particularly striking here is the immediate and stark establishment of a critical dichotomy: possession versus love. Lyra explicitly clarifies that Kieran's mark wasn't about love, it was about possession.
Yeah, she's very clear on that.
And to emphasize this brutal truth, he immediately turns to Leora, described as the girl with the moonlit hair and empty eyes, and kisses her right in front of the silent, watching pack.
Publicly, that's the key, isn't it?
Exactly. This act isn't just cruel, it highlights the intensely public nature and the profound depth of the humiliation Lyra is forced to endure. It's designed to strip her of dignity and standing.
It's a societal execution almost.
Precisely. This initial betrayal isn't just personal, it's that societal execution. It raises an important question for us to consider. How does public betrayal amplify the sense of loss? And how profoundly can it shatter one's self-worth when witnessed by an entire community?
Right, because everyone sees it.
And the ritual itself, meant to bind, is described by Lyra as broken, setting a foundational tone for a world where traditional bonds are twisted and corrupted right from the start.
The pack's silence in that moment is almost as chilling as Kieran's direct actions. Their eyes are described as masks, some showing pity, others satisfied. But crucially, no one moves to intervene.
Not a single one.
Not even when her blood steamed against the snow, which is such a vivid, almost grotesque detail of her suffering.
It really paints a picture.
It's a complete societal rejection at her most vulnerable moment, a collective turning of their backs that cements her isolation. She's left to grapple with the brutal reality that you're not one of them anymore.
That phrase hits hard.
The biting cold, the public display of infidelity, the absolute abandonment, it all coalesces into the singular, devastating moment of absolute solitude and despair.
Precisely. It's not merely a physical abandonment, it's a profound spiritual and emotional stripping bare. Lara herself notes, "What was there left to shield my soul had already been stripped bare."
Wow.
This complete loss, this absolute rock bottom, is often depicted in narrative archetypes as the crucible in which profound change is forged. It's the ultimate deconstruction before reconstruction.
Burning it all down to rebuild.
Exactly. While it feels like a death in the moment, the death of her old identity, her old hopes, it fundamentally underscores the narrative's central theme of rebirth from ruin. This radical emptiness creates the void necessary for something entirely new and unexpected to emerge.
And just when you think it can't get any worse, just as she believes death is finally claiming her, as her lungs burn and her heart begs her to simply give up, something truly extraordinary happens.
Right at the lowest point.
Larry hears a howl, not his, not theirs, but something older, deeper. This sound, described as sliding through the forest like a blade through silk, calls something primal awake inside her.
A different kind of call.
The next thing she remembers is silence, a thick, unnatural quiet, followed by an intense, bone-shattering pain. My spine arched, my ribs cracked like fragile glass, fire licked through my veins. This triggers a painful, undeniable change.
This transformation is not only pivotal, but deeply symbolic. If we connect this to the broader mythological tapestry, this isn't a typical shift into a sleek black wolf that she used to dream of, which would imply conforming to the pack's ideal.
Right, not what was expected.
Her metamorphosis is unique and immediate, a deviation from the expected. Her fur turns silver-laced with streaks of white like moon scars, and her eyes, when she glimpses her reflection in the ice, glow silver, ancient, feral.
So visually distinct.
Immediately. This distinctiveness immediately sets her apart from the pack, marking her as an anomaly even before she fully grasps its significance.
And the bond. What happens to Kieran's mark?
Ah, yes. The bond Kieran forced, the very mark that defined her possession, tried to hold, it clung, but the wolf within her snarled, and Lyra felt something snap.
She felt it break.
Yes, and crucially, the thread connecting her to him didn't just passively break, it burned, and I let it. This signifies a conscious, active rejection of his claim, a deliberate severing of a tie that was never truly hers.
That's your first real act of agency, isn't it?
It's her very first act of profound agency in this terrifying new form, a reclamation of self through intense pain.
And so she runs, not just physically, but as an escape from her past. She runs like the girl I used to be had died in that snow. Maybe she had.
A symbolic death.
She runs because I knew if I stayed, I would become the kind of monster they feared. Refusing to embody the role of a victim or to succumb to the bitterness that could have twisted her into something hateful.
That's a conscious choice, even in flight.
This isn't merely physical flight. It's an escape from becoming what their expectations, their fear, or their judgment might make her. She runs until the snow turns red again. But this time it's not mind blood, fresh, not animal, not Kieran's. Something else.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
A powerful piece of foreshadowing, yeah. A mark of another presence, signaling that her journey into the unknown has only just begun.
This flight is absolutely critical for her self-preservation, both physically and psychologically. By removing herself from that toxic environment, Lyra creates the necessary space for this new, powerful self to emerge.
Yeah, she needed that space.
The symbolic death of the girl she used to be is a profound narrative device, a classic element of the hero's journey, where the old self must be shed for the new one to be born.
Shedding the old skin.
Exactly. She's leaving behind not just her old life, but her old identity. The girl who was desperate for him to choose me. This shedding is an act of liberation, allowing her to embark on a path of radical self-discovery.
Amidst her desperate, transformative flight, Lyra encounters a mysterious rogue, Kale. His description is striking and immediately evokes a sense of ancient wisdom and hard-won experience. Tall, barefoot, covered in scars, like stories carved into his skin.
Barefoot in the snow, that's intense.
With storm gray eyes that watch her with a stillness that shook her. That this is a truly significant moment. He immediately perceives her difference, noting she doesn't smell like them, meaning Kieran's pack,
Okay.
but burns like they do, implying a shared, deep, and wild power. It's a powerful moment of being truly seen for the first time since her abandonment, a validation of her unique existence.
This introduction of Kale is absolutely crucial to the narrative's unfolding. He not only recognizes her unique shift, but immediately offers cryptic yet urgent warnings. They'll come, not for you, but for your blood.
For her blood. Not just her. That's sinister.
It suggests a deeper, more predatory motive from the elders than simple control. He tells her, you weren't supposed to shift, not like that, underscoring the unexpected and profound nature of her transformation, even to those who understand such magic.
So even he's surprised by the specifics.
It seems so. He further reveals that her wolf is not Paycorn, which we understand to be the common term for typical wolf shifters in their world, but she's called. This immediately links her to something ancient, distinct, and perhaps even named by a forgotten lineage.
Called. That's specific.
Very specific. He also urgently tells her, "You need to get to the Stonewood Ridge before the blood moon or the bond will find you again, and it won't be kind next time."
Whoa, the bond can find her again.
Apparently, this is a clear piece of foreshadowing, hinting at the ancient, destined nature of her transformation and linking it to a larger, pre-existing mythology that surrounds her.
So she protests, right? She says she broke the bond.
She does. She clings to that idea that she had broken it. But Kale delivers an even more chilling line. "Some bonds break, some hunt you. Yours she remembers."
Yours she remembers. The wolf remembers.
Exactly. This suggests an active, sentient aspect to the severed bond and, by extension, to her wolf itself. It implies a depth of memory and purpose that transcends simple instinct or even magical ties. It's deeply ingrained in her very being and lineage.
That's a terrifying thought, that the connection still hunts you.
It's a chilling thought that even after being broken, the connection still has a life and a memory of its own, an unresolved echo. This exchange with Kale isn't just about survival, it's Lara's very first step into understanding the true magnitude of her transformation and the ancient forces she has inadvertently awakened.
So chapter 1 leaves her running towards this ridge with this cryptic warning hanging over her.
Indeed. And this concept introduces the profound idea that her wolf is more than just a physical form. It's an ancient consciousness, a repository of forgotten knowledge and ancestral memory. The wolf remembers.
That concept is huge.
It becomes a foundational element of Lara's journey and her unique power. It's a key distinction that immediately sets her apart from other wolves in this narrative, pushing her onto a path of self-discovery and destiny, rather than simply animal instinct or pack loyalty. It suggests a legacy that predates her own understanding, guiding her implicitly.
Okay, moving into the second chapter. This one really deepens Lara's internal experience and her understanding of her new self, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We get more inside her head, inside the wolf's head almost.
She describes the wolf inside her not just as a part of her, but as an entity older than me, older than this forest, maybe even older than the bond that Kieran tried to force.
That sense of ancientness again.
This isn't merely an animal form she can shift into. It's an ancient consciousness, now fully awake within her. She feels its raw rage, its primal hunger, its deep intuitive knowing. It's a fundamental shift in her very being.
Her inability to return to her old life, the life she once yearned for, is a critical signifier of her complete and irreversible break from her past identity.
Yeah, she makes that really clear.
She states she can't go not to the pack, not to him, not to the version of myself who once waited at the edge of the clearing, desperate for him to choose me. The girl that died in the snow isn't just a metaphor, it's an active disavowal of her former self.
She's choosing to let that girl be gone.
Exactly. It allows for a new self, a new path that is wholly and defiantly her own. This is a very common thread in narratives of profound trauma and rebirth. The old self must quite literally die for the new one to live. It's not just a passive happening, but an active internal choice to embrace something else entirely. It's an embrace of self-ownership.
She then hears the wolves howling in the distance. But these howls are distinctly different from Kieran's pack's howls. These are layered, haunting, and raw. Voices split open by pain and exile.
Ooh, pain and exile, like her.
And the strangest part is that Lyra understands them. She feels them vibrate through the floorboards, threading into her bones, like a memory that wasn't mine but felt true.
Wow, like a shared consciousness.
This isn't just empathy. It marks her profound connection to the forgotten or rogue wolves, those who exist outside the traditional oppressive pack structure, much like Kale. It's a recognition of a shared experience of ostracization and resilience.
This immediate, almost telepathic connection to the forgotten wolves is a vital turning point. It shows that her unique shift isn't just an isolated personal event, but a resonant frequency that calls to others who have experienced similar pain and exile.
So she's not alone in this kind of existence.
It implicitly builds a sense of belonging for her, outside the oppressive structure of Kieran's pack, setting the stage for her to forge a new kind of pack based on shared understanding, empathy, and resilience, rather than forced loyalty or rigid tradition.
A chosen family, maybe?
Potentially. This connection hints at a hidden, resistant world, a movement that she is unwittingly activating through her very existence. It suggests that she is not merely an individual, but a catalyst.
Despite hoping to avoid him, Lyra encounters Kieran again, too soon, near the frozen creek where the trees thinned.
Oh, this confrontation is coming quickly.
His immediate shock, "You're supposed to be dead," serves as a brutal confirmation of the extent of his betrayal and the pack's certainty of her demise. His voice, speaking her name, feels like a curse upon her.
You can almost feel her flinch.
While he initially appears the same, Smug cruelty tucked beneath a perfect face. His eyes flicker with a profound, telling uncertainty, betraying his carefully constructed facade.
Kieran's reaction to her shift, his dismissive, "that's not possible, you were never strong enough," reveals his fundamental misunderstanding and deep underestimation of her.
He really didn't see her at all.
Never saw her true potential, only what he believed she was capable of within his limited patriarchal framework. Lyra's powerful response: "You marked me and left me to die, and now you think you get answers. You don't understand what you've done," powerfully reclaims her agency and reframes their dynamic.
She's taking control of the conversation.
She doesn't just state, she declares with absolute certainty, "The bond is dead. I snapped. I killed it. The moment I shifted, it burned out of me like a fever." This isn't merely a statement of fact, it's an assertion of absolute power over her own destiny.
A visceral reversal of his control.
Exactly. Transforming her from a marked possession into an autonomous force.
And this is where the narrative truly shifts for Lyra. Kieran, in a moment of panic, or perhaps a desperate attempt to regain control, reveals that the silver shift is cursed, and that wolf inside you, she's not a gift, she's a prophecy.
The P word. Prophecy.
When Lyra, now armed with newfound assertiveness, demands to know more, he hesitates, clinging to the old power dynamic by claiming it's not for you to know.
Classic manipulation tactic. Control the information.
But Lyra is no longer the girl who waits for permission.
And that precisely is where Kieran makes his crucial, fatal mistake. He grotesquely underestimates the profound transformation that has occurred within her. He clings to the old, oppressive power structures, truly believing he can still dictate what she can or cannot know.
He hasn't caught up to who she is now.
Not at all. This moment highlights the core conflict between the stagnant, traditional system represented by Kieran and, by extension, the elders in Lyra's emergent, untamed, and fundamentally disruptive power. His fear, thinly veiled by arrogance, inadvertently reveals the true magnitude of what she has become.
So what does Lyra do? He tries to withhold info.
She doesn't take it.
Lyra's response to Kieran's attempt to withhold information is fierce, decisive, and shockingly swift. She lunges, not to attack, but to demand, shoving him back against a pine tree, pressing her blade to his throat before he can even blink. Her eyes are blazing.
Whoa. Okay. That's a change.
She declares with terrifying conviction, "You don't get to decide what I know anymore." This is a stark, almost unbelievable contrast to the girl who once waited from, desperate for his choice, now dictating the terms of their engagement. Her agency is now absolute.
This pressure, applied with such raw force, utterly breaks Kieran's will and compels him to reveal the prophecy, almost as if he's reciting an ancient, terrifying rite against his will.
What does he say? What's the prophecy?
"She rises when betrayed, the silver-blooded wolf born in the death of the bond marked by snow and blood and fire. She brings the ruin of Pax."
The ruin of Pax. So ruin of the Pax, the established order.
That seems to be the implication. This is a foundational nugget of knowledge for us, the listener, outlining Lyra's fated role as a disruptor, an inevitable force of destruction against the established order. Her destiny is to shatter it.
What's fascinating here is that Lyra immediately recognizes these words from her own recurring dreams. She recalls hearing these very words before. Not in the Pax stories, but in the dreams I used to have as a girl, dreams of fire, of wolves drowning in moonlight.
So it was always inside her, waiting.
Exactly. Highlighting a pre-existing, perhaps subconscious connection to this ancient lore that runs deeper than conscious memory. Kieran, cornered, admits the elders knew about her and that he marked her to contain it.
To contain her power. Wow.
Effectively confirming her deepest suspicion that he never loved me. This is a devastating, yet ultimately clarifying realization for her. The love she sought, the connection she believed in, was never there. It was always brutally about control.
This realization, though deeply painful, is also incredibly liberating for Lyra. It utterly shatters the last illusion she held about Kieran and her past with him.
No more what-ifs.
Exactly. The raw truth of his actions, driven by the elder's cynical manipulation to contain her power, finally frees her from the emotional chains of her unrequited love and the lingering self-blame that might have plagued her.
It changes everything for her.
It transforms her personal tragedy from a mere cruel act into a catalyst for a larger destined purpose, fundamentally shifting her from a victim of a cruel personal act to a pivotal, fated player in an ancient prophecy. This is her true turning point.
That same night, Lyra makes it to the Stonewood Ridge, the place Cale told her to go. It's described with powerful imagery. Black trees rose like spires, their bark streaked with veins of silver, and the ground pulsed faintly beneath my feet like the forest had a heartbeat.
A place of power, clearly.
It's clearly a place of ancient, potent power. And standing at its edge, awaiting her, is Kale, who looks at her with a shadowed expression, as if he'd known she was coming all along.
Kale is in dead waiting, confirming he not only heard the wolves, but also stating with deeper implication, I heard more than that. He then explicitly emphasizes, you were never one of them. You were never meant to serve a pack.
Reinforcing her uniqueness again.
Powerfully reinforcing Lara's unique destiny outside traditional pack structures, suggesting a path of radical independence and leadership unlike any seen before.
And when she touches the ground there,
when she walks into the center of the grove and kneels, intuitively touching the silver-veined earth, a voice, an ancient echo, rises within her. She remembers the fire, she returns in frost, and when the blood moon rises, the broken shall rise with her.
The broken shall rise with her.
Wow. This directly reiterates the prophecy, signaling an imminent cataclysmic conflict and her undeniable central role within it. The earth itself, imbued with ancient magic, seems to affirm her profound purpose and presence.
Okay, chapter 3. 3 days later, the memory of her blood steaming on the ice still deeply haunts Lara. She doesn't just remember the pain, she realizes she left a tangible mark and profoundly that the ice never forgot.
The land remembers too.
It's not just a physical stain. It's a living echo of her trauma and transformation, a sigil imprinted upon the very landscape. She describes its exact shape, how the blood crept in little veins across the surface, how it cracked into the frozen earth. A detail that conveys its lasting, almost organic presence.
It's here that Kale prompts her to see it, a key moment of magical revelation. He reveals her blood isn't just a stain, but a faint glowing sigil or rune that is actively calling to her.
Her blood is magic now. Or was it always?
That's the question, isn't it? This signifies her deep, newly awakened magical connection to the land and the pervasive magical ramifications of her shift. When she touches it, a torrent of images slams into her consciousness.
What does she see?
A silver wolf standing alone under a blood moon, of fire-consuming trees that screamed, a voice chanting a name that wasn't mine but was, a black-eyed woman in a cloak of stars whispering, she will rise in ruin and snow.
So many layers, ancestral memory.
It indicates a profound ancestral memory within her wolf, strongly suggesting a lineage of silver-blooded beings who have walked this path before her. She is not an isolated incident, but a continuation.
And Kale then reveals a chilling detail that broadens the scope of the threat. You're not the first, but you might be the last.
Oh wow, the pressure.
This raises an immensely important question for us, the listener, and for Lara herself. How many silver-blooded wolves came before, and what happened to them? It immediately implies a hidden history, a long and brutal struggle that Lara is now stepping into.
Maybe as a final hope or the last stand, this single line profoundly expands the narrative beyond Lara's individual journey, placing her squarely within a vast historical context of similar transformations and implicitly as similar persecutions.
So much bigger than just her and Kieran now.
Absolutely. It immediately raises the stakes, suggesting that previous silver-blooded wolves may not have survived their destinies, or at least not triumphed in the way she is now poised to. It underscores the unique, potentially conclusive nature of her current struggle.
Kale then informs Lara that they, meaning the elders, found the mark she left. Lara immediately grasps the terrifying significance. These are architects of silence, not merely passive storytellers of ancient lore.
Active manipulators.
Active manipulators of destiny. She realizes with certainty that they knew exactly what she was and had wanted her dead even before her shift.
That confirms everything.
This chilling realization confirms her deepest suspicions about Kieran's actions being part of a larger, manipulative, and truly sinister plot.
And the elders' reaction is telling. They felt it when the blood bond broke. When you severed Kieran's mark, the prophecy trembled, they felt the thread snap, and now they're looking for what remains.
They felt her break the bond. That's why intimate.
It vividly details the acute sensitivity of the elders to the mystical forces at play and their deep-seated, almost primal fear of Lyra's unique, disruptive power. It also explicitly confirms Lyra's agency in severing the bond.
She did it. It wasn't just passive.
It wasn't just a passive break or a natural occurrence, but an active, powerful act on her part that sent profound ripples through their carefully maintained magical order. Their fear of her is not simply about her raw power, but about her inherent ability to shatter their control.
Suddenly and dramatically, Leora, Kieran's chosen mate, appears near the creek, flanked by two shadowed figures. Her eyes are described with a sinister glow, glowing with something dark.
Uh-oh, trouble arrives.
And Kale murmurs a confirmation that she's a caster, explicitly bloodbound, confirming her magical abilities and her direct, undeniable connection to the Elders' nefarious agenda.
Bloodbound, tied to the Elders' magic.
Leora directly states the Elders sent me to retrieve it. referring, of course, to the powerful blood mark Lyra left on the ice. Her demeanor is initially smug, brimming with a chilling confidence.
Leora's initial arrogance, her taunting declaration, "You should have stayed dead," and her immediate demand for Lyra's blood underscored the Elders' agenda to control, contain, or simply erase Lyra's burgeoning power.
But Lyra's response, she's not backing down.
Not at all. Lyra's response is a powerful assertion of her burgeoning connection to the land itself. "This land doesn't belong to you, but the blood in that ice does."
Claiming her power, her mark.
This line highlights her profound connection to the land, which now acts as a sacred personal repository of her power and her defiant stance against those who seek to claim it.
And then she shifts.
Oh, yeah. Lyra's swift, aggressive shift and immediate pinning of Leora demonstrate her raw, untamed power, utterly surprising Leora, whose initial laughter and defiance is quickly replaced by shock and then terror as she's overwhelmed.
But she doesn't kill her.
No. Instead of opting for a killing blow, Lyra shifts back into her human form, still straddling Leora, and issues a chilling, calculated warning directly to the Elders through her. "Tell them I'm not coming back, but the next one they send better be ready to bleed."
That's a power move.
It isn't an act of mercy driven by weakness, but a calculated, terrifying display of power and control. It shows Alara's complete transformation from a helpless victim to an active participant, and indeed, a director of the conflict on her own terms.
She's setting the rules now.
She's no longer running from them. She is forcing them to come to her and on her terms. This moment is a powerful, unequivocal declaration of Lyra's agency and newfound authority.
Drawing her line in the snow.
Exactly. She sends a clear, unmistakable message to the Elders that she is a force to be reckoned with, not a pawn to be manipulated or erased. It establishes her as a leader who will fiercely protect her newfound freedom.
Okay, chapter 4. Lara is now driven by this unshakable need for understanding, seeking the true source of the prophecy.
She needs answers, real answers.
Chaol leads her deeper into the ancient forest, to a sacred hollow of frost-touched rock and moss, where a single standing stone, covered in intricate silver runes, juts from the clearing.
Sounds powerful.
At its base, a woman sits, her hair silvery white as the veins in the rock, her face lined with age, but her eyes were young, too young, impossibly so. She's described as an echo, a keeper of memory, one who remembers. She binds what time forgets.
An echo, a living piece of history.
It's an encounter with living history.
This profound encounter reveals even more crucial information, fundamentally altering Lyra's understanding of herself and her destiny. The woman states Lyra carries the bond that broke itself and is the wolf who remembers.
The wolf who remembers. There it is again.
Explicitly tying her to the ancient power we discussed earlier. She clarifies that Lyra is not ready for the what child, but you already know the why, pointing to her betrayal as the catalyst.
So the why is the betrayal.
Seems so. The woman then states with ancient wisdom that no prophecy worth fulfilling ever is truly chosen, emphasizing the destined, almost preordained yet unchosen nature of Lyra's path.
You don't choose it, it chooses you.
And she explicitly states why the Elders want her dead, because she is the end of their design, the wolf that remembers before the pacts, before bloodlines, before arranged bonds and forced martings.
She represents the time before their control.
Exactly. Her shift wasn't given, it was reclaimed. This is a deep revelation, suggesting Lyra embodies a primal force, reclaiming an ancient power that predates the very social structures that attempted to control her. She literally burns their order down by merely breathing, simply by existing as her true self.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner, as we try to distill these profound insights? This is truly a pivotal moment in the narrative. Lyra's shift wasn't just an anomaly or a curse in the conventional sense.
Sorry, it's bigger than that.
But rather a powerful primal force reclaiming an ancient power that fundamentally predates the very social structures, the pacts, the elders, the forced bonds that had for so long tried to define and control her.
She's a living contradiction to their system.
And that is why they fear her to their core. Her existence alone is a rebellion, a declaration of independence that cannot be silenced.
The echo also reveals an even more significant layer to this ancient conflict. Lyra isn't the first to survive the severing, and that others are not gone, just waiting.
Others, like her, waiting.
This is a powerful, hopeful hint at a larger movement or a dormant resistance, a collective of forgotten silver-blooded wolves who have endured similar fates and are now waiting for the right moment for the true catalyst to rise.
So she's not alone. She has a potential army.
This is a powerful implication, suggesting Lyra is not merely an individual hero, but part of a much grander historical narrative of defiance, resilience, and reclaiming what was lost against oppressive power. She is not, despite her previous isolation, truly alone. She has found her people, and they are legion.
Just as Lara receives these profound, world-altering revelations, she feels a familiar, unwelcome presence. Kieran's.
Oh, not again.
It's not his physical body she senses, but his scent, his heat, that twisted copper blood bond that once scorched its way into my soul even if now it was dead. This lingering phantom sensation is a testament to the depth of their original connection and its betrayal.
Even dead, it leaves a scar.
The beast inside her, now fully awake and powerful, remembers his face with chilling clarity and didn't want to run. She wanted to show him what he created. She shifts, propelled by instinct and a powerful, almost vengeful desire for a definitive confrontation.
Kieran appears near a ruined watchtower, and his appearance is immediately telling. He is shocked that she looks like the girl in the vision.
He's seen visions of her.
Apparently, implying his own exposure to the prophecy and its imagery, confirming that he too has been haunted by what he initiated. He quickly begins to plead his case, claiming, "I didn't know. I swear to the gods, Lara. I didn't know you would shift, that it would wake you."
Trying to excuse himself.
He attempts to shift blame, confessing the elders used me, they made me do it, and threatened to destroy her if he didn't mark her. This provides a crucial piece of his motivation, shifting him from a purely malicious villain to a manipulated, albeit still deeply flawed and complicit, character.
It complicates him, but doesn't excuse him.
Exactly. It complicates our understanding of his actions without excusing them.
Lara's anger is palpable, cutting through his excuses. You marked me like I was a tool. They sent Leora, they sent death after me. She dismisses his guilt, making it clear she has no space for his absolution.
Good for her.
But then, in a desperate attempt to reestablish some connection, Kieran drops a bombshell. I never stopped feeling you in my blood, even when the bond died.
He still feels something.
And what's truly remarkable is Lara's confirmation. She felt it too, but crucially, not the bond pulling me in, but the way you can still feel the knife even after it's gone. The ache, the phantom.
The phantom pain. Wow, that's powerful. It suggests a deeper, more inherent connection than a mere magical tie, a lingering echo that transcends the physical or magical severing.
A psychological scar.
It implies something rooted perhaps in their shared past, the profound wound he inflicted, or even the very nature of her silver blood that retains a memory of its former connection. Kieran, desperate, begs to make it right, clinging to the hope of redemption.
But can he? Can betrayal like that be fixed?
But Lara states, with a quiet, devastating certainty, you can't. This raises an immensely important question for us to ponder, not just in this fantastical context, but in our own lives. Can true betrayal ever be fully made right by the betrayer's actions?
Or does healing come from within?
Or does true healing and forgiveness come only from within the betrayed, independent of any external absolution?
The chapter culminates in a powerful internal shift for Lara. Not forgiveness, not love, just understanding. We'd both been shaped by fire. Maybe we were both burned wrong.
That's incredibly mature. Understanding, not absolution.
This shows a profound maturity, moving beyond simple hatred or resentment to a more complex, nuanced comprehension of their intertwined destructive paths. It's not absolution for him, but liberation for her.
Right, it frees her.
Just as this internal shift occurs, the sky splits with thunder, mirroring the internal turmoil with an external storm. Kale arrives, his presence urgent, warning that the Purge unit is coming, not sending scouts this time, but an all-out war.
Oh man, escalation.
This forces Lyra to make an immediate, critical choice regarding Kieran's role. Do I stand beside you or become your enemy again? The stakes couldn't be higher.
This moment of understanding is a critical, albeit painful, step in Lyra's ongoing healing process. It's not about absolving Kieran, but about her own liberation from the heavy burden of hatred.
And the storm arriving right then.
The external storm, a classic literary device, perfectly mirrors her internal one, signaling that a climactic, inevitable confrontation is imminent. Lyra must now decide, under immense pressure, who stands with her in the face of absolute war.
So, Chapter 5. The storm breaks with furious intensity, signifying the immediate and brutal escalation of the conflict. Kale confirms the elders are sending an entire Purge unit. Too many to be scouts, he warns, confirming it's an all-out war.
No turning back now.
And Kieran's question from the previous chapter, heavy with implication, still hangs in the air. Do I stand beside you or become your enemy again?
Alara's internal conflict regarding Kieran is subtly but powerfully highlighted here. She admits, almost with a sense of self-disgust, that she hated that part of me still saw the boy I once bled for and still heard the echo of the bond.
That lingering connection even after everything.
Yet she quickly clarifies that the bond is truly dead, now a phantom pain, real only when I was close enough to remember. This nuance adds significant depth to her character. It shows the lingering, almost involuntary effects of a deep traumatic connection.
The ache of a missing limb, like you said.
Exactly. A residual memory of where something once was, rather than the active binding of chains. She acknowledges it, but it no longer holds her captive.
With immediate danger looming and limited options, Lara instinctually knows of an old den in the cliffs. A place she hasn't physically lived in, but one that she, the wolf inside her, vividly remembers.
The ancient knowledge surfacing again.
She sees flashes of jagged stone and forgotten firelight from within her own ancient consciousness. This demonstrates her deepening, almost supernatural connection to her primal wolf and the ancient inherited knowledge that resides within her.
Her ancestral past guiding her.
Kieran, still grappling with the situation, questions the move, noting that it's closer to the rogue lines, indicating his continued adherence to old pack rivalries.
He's still thinking in old categories.
But Kale, ever the pragmatic and insightful guide, cuts in decisively, stating that Lyra isn't bound to any pack, powerfully highlighting her radical freedom and unique position outside the rigid, traditional pack hierarchy.
She makes her own rules now.
This reinforces the core theme that Lyra truly belongs to no one but herself. They take refuge in the den, and Kale, with a simple act of care, lights a fire with flint. This provides much-needed warmth, a stark contrast to the unbearable cold Lyra has endured.
Both literal and figurative cold. This act of Kale symbolizes the chosen warmth, safety, and genuine care she now finds in her burgeoning, unconventional pack.
Once settled, Kieran, in a moment of desperation, finally tries to explain his actions, attempting to rationalize his betrayal. He claims he believed them, referring to the elders, and thought marking her would delay the prophecy long enough to protect the pack.
Trying to make himself the hero of his own story.
He implies she would burn it all down, a chilling foreshadowing that, ironically, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. He frames himself as a tragic figure, making a difficult choice for the greater good.
Lyra's response is powerful, defiant, and cuts through his self-pity. They were right, I am gonna burn it down.
Owning it, wow.
She rejects his attempts to portray her as a passive victim of fate, or merely a destructive force without agency. She challenges his interpretation, stating, "You think I chose to become some silvery abomination cursed to outrun her own death sentence?"
She didn't choose the start, but she chooses now.
No, she declares with absolute conviction, "I have a path, and I didn't make it. I was made by it." This signifies her full acceptance of her destiny, no longer resisting it, but embracing it as an integral, powerful part of her identity. She's not running from the fire, she is the fire.
As she declares her purpose, a new set of howls, wild, ancient, fierce, cuts through the air. Kale stands, almost reverently, recognizing their significance.
The others, the ones who remember.
He reveals, his voice hushed with awe, these are the ones who remember, referring to the forgotten, the cast-outs, the silenced. These are wolves like her, marginalized and forced into exile by the elders' oppressive system.
And in a truly crucial aha moment, a magnificent wolf stepped forward, a woman tall and fierce, eyes burnished steel, who declares with a profound sense of purpose, "You are the beginning, and we have waited too long."
She's the catalyst they were waiting for.
This is where Lyra's unique shift. Her very existence as the silver-blooded wolf is shown to have acted as a clarion call, drawing forth the collective of similarly powerful, marginalized wolves. This immediately forms her chosen pack, a stark and direct contrast to the one that abandoned her.
They recognize her.
This new family doesn't ask for her loyalty out of obligation. They recognize her truth and their shared destiny. It's a powerful narrative about finding belonging where you least expect it, among those who understand true exile.
Lara concludes this pivotal sequence with deep, resonant clarity. A stranger's fire saved my bones, but now I know why I survived.
Her survival had a purpose.
This signifies her understanding that her personal survival had a greater purpose. She then steps out into the falling snow, bare feet burning with purpose. Not to run, not to kneel in subservience, but to lead.
Stepping into her leadership role.
This is her definitive, unapologetic acceptance of leadership and her fated role in the prophecy, stepping into her power with absolute conviction, surrounded by those who truly see her and recognize her as their undeniable alpha.
This is the profound culmination of her transformation from a betrayed individual to a powerful, destined leader. She has found her true purpose, not by seeking acceptance from those who rejected her, but by fiercely embracing her unique identity and gathering those who resonate with her truth.
Transforming trauma into collective empowerment.
Exactly. Her journey embodies the profound strength found not in traditional hierarchies, but in chosen family and a collective shared purpose. It's a powerful message about forging your own path, and finding your tribe.
Okay, Chapter 6. It begins with Lyra making a resolute declaration that underscores the immense scope of her transformation. The girl he left bleeding in the snow is not the one who stood at the edge of the clearing now.
She's stating it plainly. I am changed.
She has developed a coldness in my bones that no fire would ever burn out again. A permanent internal mark earned from the profound betrayal she suffered. Yet it's a coldness that signifies resilience, not bitterness. Yeah. Her heart, once broken, now beats steady and strong.
Kieran's reaction to seeing her again, particularly in her newfound power, is incredibly significant. He looks older now, haunted, like he'd seen a ghost.
He sees the change. He feels it.
He finally admits with a raw vulnerability, "I thought they were lying when I heard you'd shifted." His pain, while perhaps genuine in this moment, comes tragically too late to change anything.
Too little, too late.
He's confronted not just with her survival, but with the devastating consequences of his actions and the living, breathing proof of Lyra's emergence, which shatters his illusions. He is truly seeing her for the first time, and it's a terrifying sight for him.
Lyra confronts him, her voice level, demanding answers about his actions that fateful night. Specifically, she asks if he mourned her at all, knowing the answer but needing to hear it articulated.
Making him say it.
His response, "I buried you in my chest every night since," reveals his deep internal torment and the lingering impact of his choices, showing that his soul wasn't entirely impervious.
So he did feel something. Guilt, maybe.
But Lyra's powerful retort cuts through his perceived guilt to the absolute heart of her suffering. "I died silently while you kissed Leora like I never existed." This line encapsulates the stark, unbearable difference in their experiences.
This exchange is not about Lyra seeking sympathy or even revenge, but about her asserting her truth and refusing to let him minimize her pain or his profound culpability.
She's reclaiming her narrative of that night.
She's demanding that he witness the full, unvarnished truth of what he did.
Lyra makes her position explicitly clear to Kieran. "I'm not here to forgive you. I don't care if you believe in the prophecy now. I lived it. I broke it."
Wow. I lived it. I broke it.
This is her firm, unwavering refusal to be defined by his actions or burdened by his guilt. It demonstrates her complete emotional and psychological independence from him, a total severing of any remaining ties.
Kieran, perhaps sensing the finality in her voice, corrects her, his own understanding now sharpened by pain and witnessing her power. "No, you didn't break it. You are it."
You are it. That's huge.
This profound statement elevates Ira from a mere recipient of the prophecy to its living embodiment. It's a key insight into her destiny, signifying that she doesn't just fulfill the prophecy, she is the prophecy. She has become the living manifestation of this ancient lore.
Even her betrayer sees it now.
A truth that even her betrayer now recognizes, if belatedly and painfully. This shift from recipient to embodiment radically redefines her power.
Just as this intense exchange concludes, the ground pulses with a powerful, ominous rhythm. Suddenly, the three elders appear, seemingly out of thin air, cloaked in black, woven with bone.
The architects of silence arrive.
Their presence heavy enough to crush the very air.
Mm-hmm.
Their leader confronts Lyra directly, his voice imbued with ancient authority and undisguised malice. "You were supposed to die, silver-blooded."
Straight to the point, no pretense.
This statement reveals the core of their agenda, their deep-seated fear of her very existence, and their desperate attempt to control what they cannot understand.
Ira's defiant response is powerful and direct, a challenge thrown into the face of centuries of oppressive rule. "I am the cycle-breaking."
Goosebumps. "I am the cycle breaking."
This directly challenges their claim to power and control, their self-appointed role as architects of silence who meticulously maintain the old order through fear and manipulation. She presses them further, demanding to know why Kieran was chosen to mark her.
And their answer.
"Because he was the one you loved, and love makes the best leash." Chilling. This reveals their truly manipulative strategy, using emotional bonds, the deepest human connections, to control power, exploiting personal vulnerabilities for their nefarious ends.
Using love as a weapon.
They sought to leash her heart to control her shift, to make her compliant and easily managed.
Lyra, now fully aware of their machinations, retorts with chilling resolve. "You wanted my heart, so you could control my shift, but you didn't get it. You only got my rage."
She turned their weapon against them.
She refuses to be silenced or severed, asserting her terrifying power and unstoppable will. "I am what's coming." She is the living embodiment of their worst fears, an untamed force that cannot be contained by their designs.
The chapter ends with a stark, symbolic act that underscores Lara's complete triumph and profound independence. She walks away from Kieran without a second glance, leaving him to confront the wreckage of his choices.
Leaving him behind, finally.
"Because he had already called me dead, and now he would watch me live." This highlights her absolute emotional severing from him in her past. His opinion, his presence, his guilt no longer hold any power over her. The definitive wreck.
Moving into Chapter 7, Lara's relentless journey continues, guiding her to an ancient clearing marked by massive, fallen stones, a place where the very air shimmers with old magic.
Another sacred site.
As she steps into it, her bare feet burn on the frost, and she experiences a profound, almost primal remembering. It's not a memory retrieved in words, but in fire, in blood, a visceral, ancestral connection that floods her consciousness as she presses her hands into the earth.
And here, a crucial shift in understanding occurs not just for Lara, but for our comprehension of the entire narrative. Lara realizes it wasn't merely a prophecy in the traditional sense, but a powerful curse passed through ancient bloodlines.
A curse, not a prophecy.
Awakening in the one who had lost everything, meaning Lara herself. She witnesses a profound vision. A girl with silver eyes who once stood here 1,000 seasons ago, screaming a vow into the wind as her bondmate was ripped from her by the same magic now hunting me.
So this has happened before. An ancestor.
This reveals the deep, cyclical, historical context of her powers and the Elder's actions, showing a lineage of silver wolves who were also targeted and systematically oppressed. This monumental revelation finally explains why the prophecy or curse exists, and why Lara is now its living embodiment.
It's historical trauma replaying.
It's not a random occurrence, it's a historical echo, a karmic reckoning. She whispers with a chilling sense of purpose, the beginning, and it ends with me, but not before it burns, suggesting a final destructive culmination of this ancient curse, with her as its instrument.
This profound connection to a past forgotten event, this vision of her ancestors' agony, isn't just a plot point. It fundamentally explains why the prophecy, or perhaps more accurately the curse, exists, and why Laura is now its embodiment.
She's carrying the weight of history.
It's not just a random occurrence, it's a living historical echo, a karmic reckoning. She has tapped into the primal scream of her ancestors, transforming their pain and suffering into her own powerful purpose. It is the culmination of generations of struggle embodied in her.
This deep historical context also adds significant layers to the Elder's profound fear. They are not simply afraid of Lara's individual untamed power, but of the reawakening of this ancient bloodline, the return of the Silver Wolf, the cursed fire, the Stormbringer they had long sought to erase from history.
They wanted to bury this history.
Her very existence now threatens to unravel centuries of their meticulously woven control and the oppressive order they imposed upon the world. This reframing from prophecy to curse imbues her mission with a powerful sense of historical justice and an ancestral mandate for vengeance.
Just as Lyra grapples with these overwhelming revelations and prepares for the inevitable next confrontation, Lyra reappears. But this time, her demeanor is completely transformed.
Lyra again? What now?
She's wild, cornered, her hair tangled, her dress torn, and her eyes red-rimmed with fear. This is a stark contrast to her previous smug arrogance, and she reveals a shocking, game-changing truth. They're not after you anymore, they're after him, pointing directly at Kale.
After Kale. Why?
Who stands stoically beside Lara.
This is an astonishing revelation that fundamentally alters our understanding of the prophecy's true nature. Lyra exposes Kale's true identity. He's the twin flame, the one who can ignite the prophecy fully. He's the one the curse feeds from.
Twin flame. Ignite the prophecy. So it's not just about Lyra.
This immediately transforms the prophecy from a solitary individual destiny into a dual intertwined force, making their connection absolutely central. This profound shift from a singular destiny to an intertwined one raises the stakes exponentially.
Blamed Kale. He knew.
Kale, we observe, doesn't flinch, confirming that he already knew this, indicating the quiet, immense burden he has carried, accepting his fated role even if it meant setting himself on fire for Laura's destiny.
He carried that burden silently.
Kale confesses, with a heartbreaking honesty, that he didn't tell her this vital truth because she already had too many burdens and because he knew what it would mean if we chose each other.
Wow. Protecting her? Even with something so huge.
This powerful admission highlights the profound self-sacrificing nature of his bond with Lara, a bond rooted in genuine choice, not claimed, not marked, standing in stark, direct contrast to Kieran's manipulative, forced possession. Their connection is built on mutual respect.
A true partnership.
Liara's final warning, delivered with a desperate urgency, is dire and terrifying. The Elders are coming with a new kind of magic, not just to kill, but to sever permanently. If they sever the thread between you two before it binds, they win.
Sever the thread between them. Erase the connection itself.
This introduces an unprecedented, terrifying threat. the complete and irreversible eradication of their connection, and by extension, the prophecy itself, stopping it from fully blooming and manifesting its power. It's an attempt to erase not just their lives, but their very purpose and legacy.
As this chilling truth sinks in, Ira acknowledges the quiet, growing, and incredibly steady tether she feels with Kale, a bond that built instead of branded. She recognizes it as quiet, steady, a tether growing thread by thread with every truth, every vow, every night by the fire.
She feels it growing stronger.
And in a moment of profound agency and self-determination, she makes her decisive choice. They don't get to decide who I become. Not this time. I'm not running. This sets the stage for a truly decisive stand, not just for herself, but for Kale and the intertwined future they embody together.
She's choosing to fight for him now, too.
The chapter concludes with Lyra choosing Kale, sealing their shared destiny with a powerful, defiant kiss, an act of radical acceptance and love in the face of annihilation.
This kiss is a powerful declaration of agency and chosen love, a profound choice made in the face of imminent danger and ancient prophecy. It solidifies their partnership as the very heart of the prophecy, making them an unbreakable force against the Elders' manipulative designs.
The antithesis of Kieran's mark.
Exactly. It's a moment of profound vulnerability woven with immense strength, demonstrating that true power can be found not just in individual might, but in chosen connection, mutual respect, and reciprocal protection.
Okay, Chapter 8. The kiss with Kale lingers, a quiet brand upon Lyra's soul, profoundly different from the searing mark of Kieran's betrayal. Lyra immediately realizes its true, bittersweet significance.
What's the realization?
It hurts more, because it meant I had something to lose now, something they could tear from me, something I would kill to protect.
The vulnerability of love, having something to lose.
This signifies a new, deeper dimension to her power, now fueled not just by rage or survival instinct, but by love and an absolute fierce desire to protect what she has chosen.
The prophecy scope has now widened significantly, moving beyond Lara's individual fate. It's no longer just about the girl betrayed in the snow, but about the one who stood with her, the one fate couldn't sever, the twin flame.
Both of them are central now.
Kale's quiet acceptance of this immense role, evident in his fire-stained calm, indicates a deep, unwavering commitment to Lara, even if it meant setting himself on fire for their shared destiny. He understood the immense cost, and he chose to pay it.
Standing with her, not trying to control her.
Exactly. Standing without needing to be my center, demonstrating a profound respect for her own strength and autonomy.
As the storm gathers, Lyra, now fully embracing her role as a leader, gathers her rogue pack, now truly her people, and begins preparing for an unprecedented war, one that will determine the fate of their world.
She's leading them into battle.
Bryn, a sharp member of her newfound pack, provides crucial intelligence. The Elders are deploying a terrifying array of forces, including casters who manipulate magic, ward breakers, specialists in dismantling defenses, and the truly chilling Bonebinders.
Bonebinders. That sounds awful.
The preparations are extensive and strategic, using ancient techniques like smoke and bloodroot to disorient and neutralize the enemy.
The introduction of Bonebinders sends a chill down your spine, revealing the truly desperate and horrific measures the Elders are willing to take. These are described as death in skin, Elders that traded soul for blood, able to unmake a wolf with a glance.
Unmake a wolf, erase them.
The sheer brutality of their power is emphasized by the fact they haven't been used since the last shifting war, a cataclysmic conflict that left entire bloodlines erased. This signifies the extreme threat they pose and the Elders' absolute terrifying desperation.
This is a war for existence itself.
Absolutely. This elevates the conflict beyond a simple territorial dispute to a war for the very existence and memory of an entire species and its lineage.
Despite the overwhelming odds, Lara refuses to stay behind, refusing to be relegated to a protected role. She tells Kale, her voice firm and resolute, "I'm not the girl they buried anymore, but I'm also not the girl who will watch someone else burn in my place."
Taking responsibility, leading from the front.
This demonstrates her profound self-sacrifice and her complete growth into a true leader who fiercely protects her chosen family, embodying the immense strength she has cultivated through every hardship. She shifts, not to run, but to lead the battle herself.
The battle itself begins with a terrifying, almost supernatural silence, the calm before the storm. Lyra, now fully embodied as the silver-blooded wolf, leads the charge, tearing through spell after spell, her silver blood pushing back the Elders' dark magic.
Her blood repels their magic.
Refusing to let it touch her or her pack, with decisive, almost fated precision, she reaches the Bonebinder first, the most fearsome of their enemies, and I ended her.
She took out the biggest threat first. Decisive.
This utterly decisive action single-handedly throws the Elder's forces into utter disarray, confirming their deepest fears. She wasn't supposed to survive, wasn't supposed to fight back, wasn't supposed to win. Her power is truly beyond their comprehension.
The clearing, once pristine, is left painted red, a stark, brutal image of the ferocity of the fight and the price of their victory. Though one of her pack, Ren, is barely alive, she is alive.
They protected their own.
A testament to the rogue pack's resilience and Lyra's formidable leadership. And just as the dust begins to settle, Kieran arrives, too late, stepping into the broken clearing with blood on his boots and panic in his voice, desperately calling out for Lyra.
Witnessing the aftermath he helped create,
Lyra shifts back into human form, blood-slick, powerful, and utterly transformed, as Kale steps out of the shadows and, without a word, takes her hand. In that moment, a profound shift occurs within Lyra.
what does she feel?
For the first time in her life, she doesn't feel like a curse, but a storm someone had finally decided was worth standing in.
Wow, acceptance. True partnership. This highlights the incredible validating power of acceptance and chosen companionship. She asserts, her voice ringing with hard-won truth, "The pack that took me in didn't ask me to heal, they demanded a war and I gave them fire."
She gave them what they needed, what she needed.
She has not only accepted her destiny, but actively shaped it, becoming a destructive force against those who sought to control her and a protective shield for those who chose to stand with her.
So, Chapter 9. In the aftermath of the brutal battle, Leora reappears, but her previous smugness is entirely gone. She's described now as having a lilac and ash scent, too delicate, too curated.
A contrast to the blood and fire.
A stark contrast to the raw power of Lyra and her pack. She's fearful, not arrogant. Lyra, with her newfound clarity, now sees the shadow in between, recognizing Leora's own vulnerability and subjugation within the Elder's oppressive system.
Seeing her as another victim, maybe.
In a moment of unexpected vulnerability, Leora admits she warned Lyra about Kale because she thought if I helped you, they'd spare me.
Ah, self-preservation. This candid confession utterly reveals Leora's own desperation and powerlessness within the Elder's manipulative system, showing her not just as a rival in love, but as another victim, albeit a complicit one, of their control.
Alora's powerful retort cuts to the heart of the matter. You think you were ever safe? They only love the pieces of us they can use.
Boom! That's a truth bomb right there. A profound insight into the manipulative nature of the Elder's power, exposing their true character. They only value what can be exploited and discarded. It's a universal truth about oppressive systems.
Leora, now completely stripped of her facade, then makes a truly shocking, almost desperate confession about Kieran. What does she say?
She says, "I can't be marked by someone who still dreams of another. I see him whisper your name in his sleep. You haunt him, Leora, you shatter him, and I can't compete with a ghost."
He dreams of Lara. Still. Wow. This raw admission from Leora reveals the lasting torment Kieran endures and his utter inability to move on from Lyra even after his heinous betrayal. It explains Leora's deep bitterness, her jealousy, and her profound understanding that Laura survived in a way that made her far more powerful and pervasive than any ghost.
A living ghost haunting him. A living, breathing force that continues to define Kieran's internal landscape, haunting his every waking and sleeping moment. It underscores the deep, permanent scar Lyra left on him, not through her presence, but, ironically, through her absence and her subsequent transformation.
Lyra's final warning is chilling in its implications, extending the threat beyond physical death. Keep her alive, because if she dies, they'll rewrite the prophecy to fit their version of her, and this time they won't leave anything behind.
Rewrite the prophecy, erase her true story. That's insidious.
This reveals the ultimate insidious threat from the Elders. Not just physical death, but the complete erasure of Lyra's narrative, her legacy, and her very truth. They want to recast me as the villain, the threat, the mistake, to control the historical record.
To manipulate the very memory of what transpired. This raises an immensely important question for us, the listener, to ponder in our own lives. What does it truly mean to have your story stolen, manipulated, or rewritten by external forces?
How do systems control us by controlling our stories?
Exactly. How do oppressive systems attempt to control our identities by distorting the narratives that surround us? This, then, becomes the core fight. A battle for truth, for memory, and for radical self-definition.
Lyra reflects on this, stating, "They fear what I am, But Kale immediately cuts in, correcting her with profound insight.
What does Kale say?
No, Kale says, they fear what you've made yourself.
Ah, that distinction, crucial. It's not merely Lyra's inherent power or silver blood that terrifies them, but Lyra's active agency in forging her identity, her relentless resilience, and the deliberate choices she has made that truly terrify them to their core.
It's her choices, her will.
She hasn't just become powerful, she made herself powerful through every moment of pain, defiance, and self-acceptance. This distinction is crucial for the listener to grasp, as it shifts the focus from passive destiny to active creation.
She's the author of her power.
It emphasizes that while Lyra certainly had inherent abilities and a fated role, her true strength comes from her active choices, her unwavering refusal to break under pressure, and her relentless pursuit of her own truth. It's a testament to the transformative power of self-creation.
Okay, chapter 10. Lyra is deeply, profoundly affected by Leora's words about the elders rewriting her story. She feels the creeping cold of changing magic, a tangible warning of the elders' insidious next move.
She knows they're coming for her narrative now.
This threat to her very narrative stirs a new kind of resolve within her. She decides with absolute conviction, this time I wouldn't wait for them to find me. I would take the fight to them. She plans for vengeance, but it's a calculated, deliberate, and deeply personal reckoning.
Taking the initiative, going on the offensive.
Driven by this new resolve, Lyra climbs to the cliff's edge under the full, luminous moon and whispers the names of every piece of me they had tried to kill. The innocent girl she was, the forced bond, the crushing silence of the pack.
Reclaiming the stolen pieces.
She shifts, not merely into fur, but visibly, powerfully into fire, as ancient silver runes light her very skin. A breathtaking visual manifestation of her fully reclaimed power. Her wolf bows, a deep primal gesture, signaling absolute readiness for the final confrontation.
Shifting into fire, that's incredible imagery. This signifies her complete embrace of her full power and her chosen path of active resistance, not just for mere survival, but for a definitive end to their oppression and a reclamation of her stolen history.
Lyra undertakes this profound reckoning alone, a solitary force of vengeance. She moves silently, her burgeoning magic devouring the elders' wards of bone and shadow with terrifying ease.
She walks right through their defenses.
She's not there to kill mere guards or lesser pawns, but for the ones who wrote the script, the true architects of her pain and the centuries of suppression. She steps through their ancient gates, her bare feet blooming frost with every step, her silver fire magic burning away their formidable defenses.
A living symbol of the end of their era. She confronts the three elders within their sanctuary who are performing a low, guttural chant, cloaked in ancient dark magic. Her silver fire shift repels their spells effortlessly.
Their magic can't touch her now.
The silver in her very being catching and deflecting every malevolent blade of their magic. She declares, her voice ringing with ancient power and irrefutable truth. You cannot erase me, you cannot rewrite me.
Her ultimate defiance. Narrative sovereignty.
It's a direct cataclysmic challenge to their absolute power over narrative, over history, and over destiny itself.
In a truly climactic and defining moment, Lyra drops to her knees, not in submission, but in an act of powerful reclamation. She presses her palms into the sacred stone floor, the place where they had carved my fate and I rewrote it.
Rewriting her fate on their sacred ground. Powerful.
With every ounce of her being, she pours every piece of pain, every betrayal, every name they silence into the earth. It's an ultimate act of emotional, magical, and ancestral catharsis, simultaneously destroying their power and reclaiming her own.
And in response to her profound act, the prophecy itself screamed back then it shattered, breaking apart into fragments, signifying its complete nullification.
She shattered the prophecy, or the curse.
It seems so. The elders fell, not with death, with truth. Their dark spells unraveled, their oppressive cloaks dissolved into mere ash, revealing their true diminished forms. When they looked at her, it was no longer as a threat, but with a terrified realization, it was as the end.
The end of their reign.
Wow, this is the ultimate aha moment where Lyra fully reclaims her destiny and narrative, shattering the very foundation of their control and their tyrannical power. She doesn't just defeat them, she utterly undoes their lies, their magic, and their millennia of oppressive influence.
She then walks away from the desecrated sanctuary, feeling the incredible power coursing through her veins and, perhaps more importantly, a profound peace in my bones. She returns to Kale, and with no words needed, simply states, her voice ringing with finality, "They won't write me out again."
Her truth has prevailed. This scene masterfully illustrates the profound power of self-determination and the reclamation of one's narrative. Lyra doesn't just survive, she actively rewrites her own story, not just metaphorically, but through a visceral, magical act,
She becomes the author of her own fate.
permanently severing the Elder's ability to control or erase her legacy. It's a victory not merely of might over might, but of narrative sovereignty over manipulation, a triumph of authenticity over suppression.
But it's not quite over, is it? Chapter 11. Just when you think the story's reached its emotional peak, Kieran appears again, alone, marked by a quiet madness in his eyes.
Still clinging on.
He's still trying to reclaim a bond he felt after the Elder Stronghold fell, a lingering, desperate phantom. He speaks of feeling something tear through him when the Elders fell, linking him still, tragically, to the magic he once abused.
Lara, with newfound clarity and unwavering resolve, acknowledges the faint familiar pull of the dying bond within him. But her understanding is now absolute. She confronts him directly about his core motivations.
What did he say?
You thought that if you claimed me, you could control me, that if I belonged to you, I wouldn't rise. She now understands that his actions were rooted deeply in his own fear and a desperate need for control, never in genuine love or concern for her.
She sees right through him now.
Kieran, in a final desperate plea, says, I still do love her, clinging to a twisted version of affection. But Lyra's unflinching gaze, her steady, powerful presence signifies her complete understanding that love without choice isn't love at all.
That's the core of it. Choice.
He drops to his knees, utterly defeated, begging her to let me in, let me fix it, still clinging to the old toxic narrative where he can save her or somehow redeem himself through her.
In an ultimate act of self-liberation and finality, Lyra presses her thumb into the very scar where his mark had once been and tore the magic, making it snap visibly, audibly.
She physically severs the last thread.
Wow. This is a complete, definitive, and profoundly internal severing of the last lingering piece of the bond. Gone like the version of me that waited for someone else's permission to exist.
Absolute agency. This demonstrates her absolute agency and self-liberation, physically and emotionally cutting the final last tether to her past trauma and his insidious control. It's a powerful declaration that she no longer needs his validation.
She then walks past him, without a backward glance, towards Kale, leaving Kieran gasping, broken, and alone on the ground. Her final words to him, delivered with quiet conviction, are profoundly impactful. But I'll only ever remember you.
Oof. Acknowledging the past but closing the door. A powerful statement of moving on, acknowledging the pain, but crucially not allowing it to define her present or dictate her future. She won't erase him from her memory, but she also won't let him be a part of her future.
The chapter concludes with Lyra and Kale, recognizing there is no bond between us, not yet, in the traditional forced sense, but profoundly. There was a choice, and that was stronger than anything Kieran ever gave me.
Choice is stronger than force. This highlights the enduring central theme of chosen connection versus forced possession, emphasizing that true connection, true belonging, is built on free will, mutual respect, and intentionality. It's a powerful testament to the strength found in intentional, unburdened love.
And that brings us to the final chapter, chapter 12. Our deep dive concludes with a poignant scene. Lyra stands in the falling snow, a powerful echo of the night she was betrayed. But now she is still, not burning with rage, but embracing the cold that once threatened to consume her.
Full circle, but utterly changed.
Kieran appears, broken, something real, stripped of his power, his arrogance, and finally his illusions.
Kieran, now utterly defeated, admits his torment, his voice raw with regret. Every night I wake up choking on what I lost. Lyra's response is stark, unapologetic, and cuts to the core of his actions. You didn't lose me, you threw me away.
Making that distinction clear.
He finally acknowledges her strength, confessing, you became everything I was too weak to be. This is his final raw admission of his own profound failures and her incredible hard-won resilience.
In an act of profound self-acceptance, Lyra grants him release. Not forgiveness for him, but a deeper internal absolution for herself, severing her own ties to the anger and pain.
What does she say?
I don't hate you anymore, Kieran. I don't even wish it had gone differently. Because if you hadn't left me to die, I would have never become who I am now.
Wow, that's immense. Acknowledging the catalyst without excusing the act. This is a monumental step in her personal healing journey.
It really is.
This is a truly crucial distinction, one that resonates deeply with our own lives. Lara explicitly states, I will never forgive you, directly refusing to absolve him of his harmful actions. Yet she immediately follows with a statement of her own profound healing and growth.
Healing for herself, not for him.
This shows a mature understanding of her journey, acknowledging the brutal catalyst without condoning the perpetrator or denying her own agency. It highlights the fundamental difference between personal healing and condoning harmful actions, proving that one can move forward and find peace without granting absolution. It's the ultimate act of self-liberation.
With that final powerful statement, she tells him, "You don't get to be part of this ending. This is mine." It's her story, her triumph, and she dictates who gets to witness it, who gets to be present in her hard-won future.
This final definitive conversation with Kieran underscores Lara's complete triumph over her past and her profound self-authorship. She has taken all the fragmented pieces of her broken self and forged something stronger, something entirely new and magnificent.
She rewrites the ending.
She reclaims the narrative entirely, leaving Kieran to confront the stark, empty consequences of his own choices, a lone figure in her rearview mirror.
Lara then turns her back on Kieran decisively and walks toward Cale, who waits for her. His presence is a stark contrast to Kieran's manipulative love and possessive nature. Cale waits without pressure, without demand, just presence, a true partner.
Her steps towards him feel like reclaiming a heartbeat, a powerful metaphor for finding her true rhythm, her true self. She knows with absolute certainty now that she never belonged with the old pack, with its toxic traditions and forced loyalties.
She found where she truly belongs.
Instead, she belonged here with the ones who knew how to rise from ash and ice and still choose love. This beautifully reinforces the overarching theme of chosen family, radical self-determination, and the power of authentic connection. She has found her true home not in bloodline, but in shared experience.
The deep dive closes with Lyra standing by the fire of her chosen pack, breathing whole, unbound, untamed. She chose him. She chose herself, and she chose the future they said she'd never live to see, embodying a profound victory of spirit and will.
So what does this truly mean for you, the learner, in your own life? Lyra's fantastical story offers powerful, tangible insights into the universal process of reclaiming your narrative after betrayal, finding strength in the most unexpected and difficult places.
Is that finding that inner wolf, maybe?
And understanding the profound, transformative difference between a forced connection and a freely chosen one. It challenges us to look beyond superficial appearances and consider where our true belonging truly lies and what kind of connections truly nurture us.
This journey raises an important question that echoes far beyond the pages of this narrative. When faced with your own moments of profound change, devastating betrayal, or unexpected transformation, how might you begin to identify those nuggets of knowledge within your own experiences?
Those turning points, those moments of clarity.
How can you then leverage them to fuel your own personal transformation, empowering you not just to survive, but to truly rewrite your story in a way that aligns with your deepest, most authentic self?
Consider this as you go about your day. What aspects of your own life are you currently letting others write for you? What old limiting narratives are holding you back, keeping you from stepping into your full power?
Who holds the pen in your story?
And what would it truly mean to bravely claim them as your own, to become the unwavering author of your own unwritten future, just as Lara did?
Thank you for joining us on this truly epic deep dive into the transformative power of narrative and self-reclamation. We hope Lyra's incredible journey resonated with you and sparked some deep thought about the power of choice, the strength found in becoming who you were truly meant to be, and the profound liberation of reclaiming your own story.